On the day of my wedding with Hudson, celebrities from all walks of life flocked to the venue. Everyone said I was a Cinderella who had struck it rich overnight and become a winner in life. I smiled bitterly. Behind this seemingly glamorous marriage into a wealthy family, only I knew the bitterness that lay beneath. In front of Hudson Manor, an old electric car slowly pulled up. Inside were my sister and Ryan. My sister was dressed rather shabbily, with no necklace around her neck. Ryan Lu Yenji tried to help her out of the car, but she pushed his hand away. "Don't touch me. Mind your own business." Ignoring the strange glances from the guests, she stormed straight into my makeup room. I was sitting at the dressing table in my custom-made wedding dress, worrying about the complicated makeup. "You're so lucky to marry into the Hua family and become the president's wife." I didn't notice the resentment in my sister's words and enthusiastically pulled her closer. Her voice suddenly dropped 8 degrees, changing from the earlier emphasis, and she asked me softly, if I had been the one to stop the Hua family's luxury car back then, would I be the one sitting here today? I noticed the change in her attitude but was completely baffled. She had married Lu Yenji, who, though not wealthy, treated her very well. How could that be worse than being with a ruthless husband? My sister didn't give me a chance to speak. She suddenly pulled out a fruit knife from her bag and quickly stabbed it towards my neck, saying viciously, "I will never let you live. Go die." I felt something warm on my neck and tried to speak, but no sound came out. What I could also feel was the hatred in my sister's eyes. "Why do you get to marry into the Hua family? In terms of looks and ability, what makes you better than me? You're just good at seducing men, and you even went to seduce the CEO in front of his luxury car." My sister didn't let go of the knife. At that moment, I only wanted to warn her, "Sister, run away. You don't know Hudson's true nature." But my vision gradually darkened, and all the words I wanted to say mixed with blood and dissipated. Slowly, everything faded away. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the year of the economic crisis. My family hadn't had a proper meal in half a month and could only survive on relief food. In the entire city, only the Hua group was still developing rapidly. Looking at the empty bottles and containers in the kitchen, my sister put on her best clothes. Before leaving, she turned to our parents and said, "We can't just sit here and starve to death. I'm going to make a name for myself and bring some money home. At least we'll have something to eat." Not knowing what my sister was up to, I hurriedly changed my shoes and ran out after her, watching her head straight for the headquarters of the Hua group. I rushed forward to stop her. "Sister, have you really thought this through?" She pushed me away forcefully, almost causing me to fall. "Don't even think about stealing my spotlight this time. Remember, the position of the president's wife is mine." She stared intently at me, and in the moment our eyes met, I realized she remembered her past life. She had come back to this world still harboring the hatred from her previous life. I said nothing more and watched her leave, then thought for a moment and decided to follow her from a distance. The president's wife? Whoever wants to be can be. I don't want to repeat the same mistake again. After waiting for a long time, Hudson's luxury car finally came roaring up. My sister gritted her teeth, closed her eyes, and stood in front of the car. I smiled, but not at her. I was lamenting my own recklessness in the past. Just as the luxury car was about to hit my sister, it suddenly stopped. The window rolled down, and a cold voice rang out. "Are you looking to die, or are you not afraid of death?" My sister imitated my tone from my past life, walked up to the car, and looked at the person inside the window, speaking calmly. "This financial crisis hasn't brought down your rivals. Are you content with that? The old-timers in the company are holding you back at every turn. Are you content with that? Why not take a chance? I'll give you a job, and I'll help you achieve your goals." Hui Yunshan put down his phone with interest and looked at my sister through the window. "If that's the case, why not come work as an intern at my Hua group and let me see what you're capable of?" My sister didn't agree immediately and said tentatively, "I have a request. Could I receive 1 month's salary in advance? Also, if I intern at your company, I don't plan to return home. My parents have raised me for many years. Could you provide some financial support to reassure them, so I can work for the Hua group with peace of mind?" Hui Yunshan's lips curled slightly, and a hint of amusement flashed in his eyes as he replied casually, "All right. My sister beamed with joy, glancing back at me triumphantly, her eyes full of defiance. Look at that. I can do what you did. I suppressed my sympathy. Others only knew that Hudson was handsome and wealthy, but they didn't know that he was a ruthless businessman who never took a loss. My sister handed back a check. My parents were overjoyed, surrounding my sister with affection and scolding me. Look at your sister, she's so capable, she got such a large sum of money for our family and found such a good job. Now look at you, just staying at home all day, unable to do anything, just relying on your parents. I suppressed my anger and recalled how they had ignored me when I brought back the check in my previous life. They even rejoiced when they found out I was going to intern at the Hua family, thinking I was finally leaving this place. Now, they were surrounding my sister, their faces filled with reluctance. My sister comforted me. William was a retired security guard in the Lineing community, over 50 years old, divorced twice, and still hoping to remarry. The harsh reality finally snapped me back to reality, and I silently packed my bags. My parents kept urging me. Stop dawdling. Move to the Liu mansion today. At least you can eat your fill there. I walked up to my sister, leaned close to her ear, and whispered. Do you remember how I went from an intern to the president's wife? Of course I remember. Wasn't it when you danced on a pole at the president's birthday party? I've already learned that move. I nodded slightly. Just remember it, don't forget, and I hope you won't disappoint everyone. In my previous life, that dance amazed the entire audience and caused a sensation in the entire circle. That night, Wu Yunshin sent me to his friend's bed. Sister, my younger sister is waiting to see the show. I took a step back, looked at my sister, and replied to my parents, all right, I'll leave today. My parents didn't waste a minute and immediately sent me to the Liu mansion. Liu Yenji looked dumbfounded. Yenji, Vivian is moving in today. From now on, she'll be living with you. You've always wanted to be our son-in-law, right? Our eldest daughter is going to pursue her career at a big company. Vivian is someone who knows how to run a household, so she's the perfect match for you. Your parents passed away early, and were only thinking of your best interests. You won't object, will you? Oh, and one more thing, even though the old man is gone, we still have to follow tradition. We need to give a dowry. You should at least make a gesture. Our daughter can't just marry someone for nothing. The parents' eyes darted around the room. Yenji's face turned red, and he took out a savings book from the bedroom. This is all my savings. Take a look, is it enough? The parents were overjoyed and hurriedly took the passbook. I sighed silently to myself. This guy is such an honest man. Oh, what's enough or not enough? The thought counts. We're not the kind of people who haggle over money. All right, we're leaving. We don't want to disturb you anymore. The parents took the money and wanted to leave, afraid he would change his mind. I called after them. Dad, Mom, from now on, I am no longer your daughter. But they were only thinking about how much they could buy with the money and walked away without looking back. The bitterness of this life and the past life flooded my heart, and I couldn't help but cry out loud. Liu Yenji panicked and hurriedly asked me if I didn't want to be with him. I shook my head, choking on my tears. He took a steamed bun out of the refrigerator. Are you hungry? Don't worry, come with me, and I'll make sure you're well fed. I took the steamed bun in a daze and took a big bite. The salty tears slid into my mouth, adding some flavor to the food. It was the most delicious thing I had ever eaten. Liu Yenji hadn't gone to college and was just an ordinary office worker. He worked late every day and always brought me a steamed bun home. At last, I was able to eat my fill. But I still couldn't accept him as my boyfriend because in my memory, he had once been my Ryan. Fortunately, Liu Yenji was a kind person and never forced me. One night, I was awakened by a nightmare and found the kitchen light on. I walked over and saw Yenji gulping down tap water. He was holding half a steamed bun in his hand, nibbling on it while drinking. When he saw me come out, he quickly hid the bun behind his back. Why are you awake? Did I wake you up? Didn't you eat anything? Nothing, I was just a little thirsty, so I came out to drink some water. He touched his slightly bulging stomach and urged me to go back to rest. The next day was Saturday, but Liu Yenji left early as usual. I quietly followed him and saw him arrive at a construction site. He worked hard moving heavy building materials, sweating profusely, until the foreman finally gave him a steamed bun and a cornbread roll in the afternoon. He carefully put them into his backpack. I couldn't bear to watch and turned away to go home. At dinner time, Lu Yenji came home. Seeing me, he put on that cheerful expression again. Wan, today they gave us 3 steamed buns at the construction site. I ate 2 and saved 1 for you. Try it. After saying that, he went to the kitchen to get a cup of water, drinking 1 cup after another until his stomach was slightly distended. I felt heartbroken and confronted him directly. Yenji, I saw everything today. You go to the construction site for odd jobs on weekends. Doing such heavy physical labor and only eating 1 steamed bun, you'll wear yourself out like this. He scratched the back of his head uncomfortably and stammered. Don't worry, I've got plenty of strength. Anyway, I just sit in the office during the week, so weekends are good exercise. The foreman said we'll get paid in a couple of days, and then we can improve our meals. I couldn't describe the feeling in my heart. Yenji was so good to me, just like he was to my sister in a previous life. He never looked down on me for not having an income and even gave me all his earnings to keep. I felt that I could do something for him, something for our future family. Hey, isn't this my long-lost little sister? What's going on? Is Yenji treating you badly? Making you, a woman, wander the streets? On the street, I walked with my head down, thinking about how I could make some money. I looked up and saw my sister, whom I hadn't seen in a long time. She was wearing expensive clothes, her face was beautifully made up, and she looked completely different, like a white-collar woman. It seemed that she was doing well at the Hua group. I didn't bother to argue with her. She persisted, refusing to let it go. Life is truly unpredictable. Look at me, then look at yourself. Who would have thought this day would come? Seeing you like this, why not try your luck at the entrance of the Hua group? Maybe you can beg for some leftovers from the trash bin. After her taunts, she turned to leave, but I grabbed her handbag and said firmly. Fine, I'll definitely go to the Hua group. Not only would I go to the Hua group to make a living, but I would also earn a future for myself and my brother, and I would witness with my own eyes how my sister would destroy herself step by step. Seeing that I was actually going to the Hua group, my sister laughed triumphantly. With you? You want to get into the Hua group? On the first day of July, Hudson Kai's birthday party arrived as scheduled. My sister specially invited me to come tonight. She wants to take me into the Hua group and let me witness how she conquers the entire venue and sits on the seat of the Hua group's mistress. I couldn't ask for more, but what I wanted to witness was how she would slowly destroy herself, becoming a toy and pawn of the Hua family. In the banquet hall, Hui Yunshin sat high on the main seat, holding his latest favorite model in his arms. Half of the business tycoons were gathered there. I hid at the edge of the room, behind a waiter, staring intently at the plate of juicy steak on the buffet table, thinking that if I could take it back to Lu Yenji, he would be overjoyed. Loud electronic music suddenly rang out, familiar enough to make my heart race. It was the prelude to the pole dance. My sister swayed to the rhythm, her tight dress outlining her slender waist, as if it would break if she bent even slightly. All the guests were captivated, their eyes fixed on her. Even Hui Yunshin, who was usually indifferent, couldn't take his eyes off her. My sister smiled like a flower, looking very happy. After the dance, the guests were still intoxicated, unable to tear themselves away. Johnson was the first to applaud and cheer. Marvelous. I've heard that the Hua family has a beauty with extraordinary dance moves, and now I see it for myself. You truly live up to your reputation. Hui Yunshin glanced meaningfully at Johnson, pushed the model out of his arms, and personally helped his sister up as she bowed in thanks. He lifted his sister's chin and smiled meaningfully. Tell me your name. Hudson, my name is Chloe. He leaned close to his sister's ear and whispered something. Although I couldn't hear clearly, I guessed he said. Wait for me in the presidential suite. My sister nodded shyly, her cheeks flushed red. As she passed by me, my sister said provocatively. I'll show you that I'm just as good as you. I responded with a cold smile. Congratulations on getting what you wanted. Then, I left the noisy crowd, not forgetting to secretly take the steak I had been eyeing for a long time. When Lu Yenji saw the steak I brought back, his surprise was evident. Where did you get this? He unconsciously swallowed as he spoke. He knew nothing about my trip to the Hua group. I bought it with my salary. Try it. He smiled foolishly and couldn't wait to take a bite. I haven't eaten anything this good in a long time. I thought he would wolf it down, but he only ate a small piece and stopped. I can't eat anymore, you eat the rest. Lu Yenji treated me as he always had, but every time I was moved, I would remember how my sister had not cherished him in her previous life. The next day, my sister came to Yenji and my place for the first time ever, looking furious as she found me. You knew this would happen, didn't you? Seeing her furious expression, I couldn't help but smile. Know what? Did you know that my sister was arranged to accompany Johnson last night? Before she could react, I continued. Sister, don't waste your energy on me. Why not try to curry favor with Hudson? You might even become the president's wife. When she heard the words, president's wife, her expression changed, and she looked dejected. The president's wife? Haha, how could someone like me, who's been slept with by others, become the president's wife? Do I even have a chance? Seeing her disheartened state, I spoke directly. Whoever Hudson tells you to accompany, find a way to ruin their career, or find a way to get them kicked out of the Hua group. I didn't know if I was helping her or hurting her. In my previous life, when I was assigned to accompany Johnson, I managed to get his company into crisis. I thought I would lose my job, but unexpectedly, Wei Yunshin not only didn't blame me, but also praised me for doing a good job and gave me a hefty bonus. It turned out that, compared to winning people over, Wei Yunshin preferred to see open and covert struggles among the higher-ups and chaos within the company. From then on, whenever he assigned me to accompany someone, I knew he wanted to eliminate them. My sister was so shocked she couldn't speak. You're not lying to me, are you? How dare I lie to my sister? Besides, what else can you do but trust me? She thought about it and realized that she had no choice but to trust me. She gathered her scattered thoughts and left in a hurry, as if she had suddenly found new hope. Watching her leave, a hint of helplessness flashed in my eyes. Sister, I didn't lie to you, but I also didn't tell you that no matter which path we take, it's a dead end. I helped Wei Yunshin eliminate those who stood in his way time and time again, but what did I get in return? One night, he called me into his office. In front of his assistant, he ordered me to take off my jacket and then personally wrote insulting words on my arm with a ballpoint pen. I endured the humiliation, begging for mercy, but he laughed even more triumphantly, pressing the pen tip harder into my skin, leaving deep marks. He smiled and asked me, Gu Wanwan, do you feel the love I have for you? He humiliated me in various ways every night until dawn. Finally, one day, I endured the immense humiliation without uttering a sound, and only then did Wei Yunshin stop. He said, that's right. What I want is absolute obedience. No matter what I do, you must silently endure it, just like now. Sister, what Wei Yunshin wants is just a puppet that he can manipulate without any feelings. Lu Yenji always left early and came home late, so busy that he was nowhere to be seen, but today he came home early for the first time ever. He mysteriously handed me a paper bag. I opened it and saw a new dress. The foreman gave me my wages the other day, so I thought I'd buy you a new dress. Seeing the expectant look on his face, I didn't know how to react. He worked himself to death just to buy me a cheap dress. I didn't know how to repay him for his kindness. After thinking it over, I said to him, Yenji, thank you for the gift. I know you've been learning programming lately. The internet industry is booming right now. I think you have a talent for programming. Why not apply for a programmer position and strive for a better future? Don't go back to the construction site. He hung his head like a child who had done something wrong and asked cautiously, Do you not like the dress? I thought you. I interrupted him and said patiently, No, Yenji. Look at our current living conditions. If we continue like this for the rest of our lives, people will look down on us. You have talent. Believe me, you can live a better life, and we can live a better life. Yenji, who had been confused and puzzled at first, gradually became determined. He nodded solemnly. Perhaps it was the first time he had heard me say we. After some time, I suggest you apply for a position at Chiyuan Technology in Chicago. Start from the bottom and work your way up. When you get the chance, forward this email to the technical director there, Troy. I have some connection with him, though we haven't been in touch for a while. I feared Yenji might suspect something, but fortunately, he had already begun planning how to follow the path I had laid out for him and didn't ask any further questions. Troy. I had heard of him when I was gathering information for Hui Yunshin in my previous life. He was Hui Yunshin's arch-rival. In the email, I recorded in detail all the evidence of Hui Yunshin's commercial fraud and insider trading so that Troy could pass this information on to the regulatory authorities in the future. A few months later, Liu Yenji got the job he wanted at Chiyuan Technology, although it was only an entry-level position. Before leaving, he promised reluctantly, "Wan, I will definitely make a name for myself and return soon to give you a better life." I nodded and smiled as I saw him off. But my heart remained unmoved. Having lived 2 lifetimes, the only thing I had learned was not to harbor illusions about others. In my previous life, I thought that joining the Hui family would lead to success, but I never expected that Hui Yunshin didn't even bother to acknowledge me. I exhausted myself trying to please him, thinking that his favor would lead to a smooth path to success, but I ended up in this miserable state. Now I finally understand that to live a good life, one must rely on their own efforts. I also know that everything you did to me, Hui Yunshin, I will repay you in kind. The email I prepared for Liu Yenji was not meant to propel him to success, but to pave a path forward for him, and to be the downfall of the Hui family. Troy is highly accomplished in talent discovery and cultivation, a leader in the industry. I believe that under his guidance, Yenji will eventually carve out a place for himself in the workplace, which would be my way of repaying him. Yenji often told me about his work at the company. Watching him gradually establish himself through hard work, I knew it was time to settle the debts of this lifetime. In the golden autumn season, the air was filled with the fragrance of osmanthus flowers. I had already joined the Hui family, but not as a white-collar professional. Instead, I was a janitor at Hui Property Management, spending my days amidst trash. The green spaces around the building were filled with osmanthus trees, and the flowers danced in the autumn wind, creating a golden carpet on the green grass. Today was a special day, so I lingered at the back door for a long time before pushing my cleaning cart slowly into the building. My sister was wearing an elegant business suit, but her eyes were vacant as she leaned against the wall in the corridor, lost in thought. I approached her and asked, "Sister, what's wrong?" Through the strands of hair scattered across her chest, I saw the scars on her neck. I took a step back. My sister snapped out of her trance after a long time, turned her head, and saw me. She froze for a moment before immediately returning to her domineering mode and demanded, "What are you doing here?" "I came to see how far you are from becoming the president's wife. I want to see how many more beatings you have to endure before you can become the mistress of the Hui family. I want to see how many more men you have to sleep with before you can climb into the president's bed." Clearly, I had hit a nerve. She flew into a rage, grabbed my throat, and pressed me against the wall. I opened my mouth wide but could only manage a weak whimper. Before my eyes, it was as if yesterday had been replayed. Back then, my sister had held a dagger to my neck, and I had felt the same suffocation. My sister became even more, dragging me to the trash can and forcing my head into it. The stench of rotten food assaulted my nostrils, and I nearly vomited. "Say it again." The disgusting garbage blocked my mouth and nose, and I struggled desperately, my whole body writhing. Logically, that person should have already arrived. I had successfully provoked my sister, so why wasn't he here yet? Just as I was about to fight back, a voice that made me grit my teeth suddenly rang out. "Chloe, stop." My sister immediately stopped moving, and I was finally able to breathe. I leaned on the cleaning cart to stay upright, breathing in the fresh air, but I couldn't get rid of the stench of garbage. My sister's voice trembled, "Hudson, I. Hudson took a few steps closer, his expression unreadable, but his tone was cold. I hate deception the most. My sister immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. "I would never dare to deceive you." "Just now, my sister." "Oh, she's a cleaner," and she cursed at me, so I got angry and taught her a lesson. As soon as she said this, the air around us seemed to freeze. No one knew that Chloe had a sister who was a cleaner. Every year on this day, Hui Yunshin would quietly leave through the back door to visit the cemetery. On this day, he strictly avoided fights, arguments, and other violent incidents. He wanted to spend the day in peace and tranquility to comfort his mother's spirit in heaven. Occasionally, he would also do some good deeds on this day. I also happened to learn this secret in my previous life, so my sister naturally knew nothing about it. Hui Yunshin's expression suddenly changed, a sign that he was about to explode. Sure enough, he pointed at his sister fiercely. Who do you think you are, teaching others a lesson at the Hua group? Who gave you the nerve? His sister knelt down and begged, Hudson, have mercy. I know I was wrong. I won't do it again. I was just teaching my sister a lesson. But Hui Yunshin was no merciful man. Teach your sister a lesson? Then go home and do it. This is the Hua group, you have no right to give orders here. He kicked my sister aside with a single blow. As he raised his foot to stomp on her defenseless body, I quickly rushed over and pressed myself onto my sister. Hui Yunshin's foot stomped heavily on my shoulder, causing me to wince in pain. My sister seemed confused, and Hui Yunshin was also stunned. They couldn't understand why I would save her. But I was just acting. My goal was to make Hui Yunshin recognize me and give me a chance to get closer to him. Hui Yunshin paused for a few seconds, raised his chin at me, and said coldly to his assistant beside him, call someone from the medical office to take a look at her. I sneered inwardly. Maybe this was his good deed for the day? My sister came to her senses and glared at me, her eyes seeming to shoot fire. I ignored her. The show was about to begin. Wait, I staggered to my feet, took the thermos I had brought with me from the cleaning cart, opened the lid, grabbed a small handful of osmanthus flowers I had already prepared from my pocket, put them in the teacup, held it respectfully with both hands in front of Hui Yunshin, smiled foolishly, and said softly, osmanthus tea, it smells delicious, try some. Hui Yunshin's pupils suddenly contracted. What did you say? Say that again? The people around us were startled by his sudden reaction. He grabbed my shoulders, and my frail body trembled in his hands like osmanthus flowers in a cup. I didn't respond, just smiled foolishly at him. Take her to my office. After giving instructions to his assistant, he turned and left the building. I was supported by the assistant, still holding the thermos cup in my hand, and entered a temporary office to wait for the medical staff. I wasn't worthy of entering his office, but I would wait. I would make it happen. How did you know that? After what felt like an eternity, as I stood by the glass window looking at the osmanthus flowers outside and searching for flaws in my plan, a cold voice rang out from behind me. I kept my face expressionless, but inside I was secretly rejoicing. I had bet right. In a previous life, he had once said something carelessly after drinking. Mom, I want to drink the osmanthus tea you brewed. I remembered it clearly. Now I was deliberately testing him, especially since I knew he went to sweep his mother's grave every year on this day. I bet my entire future that he was a filial son and that he missed his mother. I was right. Turning around, I raised the thermos cup again. Osmanthus tea. It smells so good. Try some. I repeated the words again. He stared at me intently, as if he wanted me to swallow it back, but this time, he slowly took the cup from my hand and drank it all in one gulp. Having just returned from the cemetery, he must have been overwhelmed with emotions to drink such tea. This was the extra touch I added, to make him remember me and accept me. Everything was under control. I felt a surge of joy inside, but my face remained expressionless. I would follow the plan and, from now on, become a madwoman, but mad in just the right way. This would remind him of his mother, a woman who had lost her mind. Only then would he hesitate when facing me. I had prepared for this plan for a long time. Autumn passed and winter came, and snowflakes began to fall outside the window. I knew that Yenji was steadily working at Chiyuan Technology. According to our previous agreement, when he forwarded the email to Troy, he only said that he had received an anonymous email and did not mention my name. As for when Yenji would return, he did not say, only that it would be soon, and I would have a surprise for you. Maybe it would be a dress, I thought to myself. On this side, Hui Yunshin is following my plan and expectations, gradually relaxing his guard around me. I've made him believe I'm Chloe's sister, but I told him that I met his mother in the hospital, and it was his mother who told me the secret that he loves osmanthus tea. Because of this, Hui Yunshin, the dutiful son, hasn't caused me any trouble, keeping me at the company like a pet, could finally come and go as I pleased in his office. I pretended to be sometimes lucid and sometimes crazy, just like his mother. I methodically waited for the right moment to copy important data and files from Hui Yunshin's computer, gradually accumulating evidence of his crimes. As for my sister, she almost became the president's wife. But I pretended to be crazy and acted as if Hui Yunshin's mother had possessed me, firmly refusing the marriage. Since Hui Yunshin never truly loved my sister, he found a legitimate excuse to postpone the marriage indefinitely, focusing instead on his career. After several such maneuvers, Hui Yunshin now wields absolute power in the business world, his influence growing by the day. He is always busy, but no matter how busy he is, he always finds time to come see me in my mentally unstable state. All because of the secret of the osmanthus tea. On this day, I dripped a small amount of colorless, odorless poison into the champagne. This amount of poison would not be fatal, but it would definitely render someone unable to fight back. Tonight, this farce will finally come to an end. The champagne had been chilled for a long time, and he finally arrived late. The cold wind raged outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, sending a chill through my heart. He sat leisurely on the sofa and suddenly stared into my eyes and said, "I feel like I've seen your eyes before." I paused for a moment, then smiled foolishly and said, "Your eyes are beautiful. Sister. Your eyes are also beautiful." He finally realized that I was referring to my sister. I took the opportunity to grab his suit sleeve. "Sister, I miss you. Let's eat." Hui Yunshin called my sister. It had been a long time since I had seen her, and she looked even thinner. She flashed a hint of anger when she saw me, but quickly forced herself to smile. It turned out that Hui Yunshin had not treated my sister well because of me. He was very clear about his feelings, I thought to myself. I took the chilled champagne and poured a glass for each of them. "Champagne, drink." Hui Yunshin didn't hesitate and drank it all in one gulp. My sister didn't know why she had suddenly come to the office and stood there at a loss, not taking the glass from my hand. Hui Yunshin glanced coldly at my sister, and she didn't dare refuse, hurriedly taking the glass but not drinking it all in one gulp. I could see that the new scars on her body covered the old ones. "Don't worry, sister, the pain will be over soon." A cold wind suddenly blew, and I walked over to close the floor-to-ceiling window. It was about time. Hui Yunshin suddenly felt a sharp pain in his stomach, clutched his stomach, and fell to the ground, along with the champagne bottle he had drunk half of. I looked calm, but my eyes were playful as I asked, "Hudson, what's wrong with you?" He struggled to get up, but he had no strength and could only curl up on the ground and press his stomach hard. "Hudson, I've not only seen your mother, but I also saw you in my previous life." Hui Yunshin looked confused, beads of sweat dripping from his forehead onto the ground. He pointed at me and shouted fiercely. What do you mean?" My sister tried to help him up, but I gently pushed her away, and she also fell to the ground. She shouted at me in anger. "You. Hudson, I told you she was faking it. She's not stupid at all. Gu Wanwan, what are you trying to do?" Seeing my sister's face gradually contort, I knew the effects of the drug had kicked in. I couldn't help but sneer. "Look at yourself, covered in wounds. At this point, what's the use of saying these things?" Her eyes flashed with hatred. "So it was you who was behind this. If it weren't for you, I would have become the mistress of the Hua family long ago." I couldn't hold back any longer and burst into laughter. "Stop dreaming. What mistress? Hui Yunshin's real goal is to destroy the entire industry. He used marrying you as an excuse to lure those bigwigs into a trap and eliminate them all. You're just a pawn in his hands." My sister was speechless, but Hui Yunshin quietly crawled to the door, trying to call for help. I kicked him hard in the stomach. "This one is for the me of my past life." His body convulsed, and he let out a piercing scream. I kicked him again. "This one is for the victims of both lifetimes. You used your beauty to drive countless companies in the same industry into bankruptcy and left countless people unemployed. You eliminated rivals within the company, forcing many founding members to resign in anger. You only toyed with, exploited, and hurt the women around you. Hui Yunshin, you scum deserve to go to hell." He fainted from the pain. I slowly approached my sister. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the door, followed by someone kicking it open. A group of people rushed into the room, led by a man in a suit who looked haggard. It was Lu Yenji. He pulled me into his arms and asked anxiously. I was so worried. You weren't home after I got back from abroad, and it took me half a day to find out you were at the Hua building. That bastard, how dare he imprison you? He still looked as honest as ever. Behind him came the police and medical personnel. My sister struggled to crawl over from the side and grabbed Lu Yenji's pants. Yenji, it's me. I'm Chloe. She's a poisonous woman. She poisoned Hudson and me. Call the police and arrest her. Lu Yenji looked at her on the ground, then looked at me, and kicked her away with one foot. My sister was unwilling to give up and shouted hysterically. I'm the woman you want to marry, Yenji. I'm the one. Save me. She screamed hoarsely, but no one paid any attention. Everyone has to bear the consequences of their own choices, don't they? Lu Yenji told me succinctly that he was now a special representative of Chiyuan technology. He had been commissioned by the board of directors to report Hua Yunshan's illegal activities to the public security authorities and demand a thorough investigation into the illegal profits of the Hua Group over the past few years. Just as I was handing over the USB drive containing Hua Yunshan's important data to the police, Lu Yenji suddenly shouted. Be careful. He rushed over to block me, but was slashed on the arm and chest by Hua Yunshan, who had woken up, with a broken wine bottle, and fell to the ground. Hua Yunshan screamed at me hysterically, you lied to me. The police rushed over and quickly pinned Hua Yunshan to the ground. He fell to the ground again, moaning in pain. I didn't know if it was because of the physical pain or his dissatisfaction with the current situation. I didn't have time to care about him and hurriedly pressed down on Lu Yenji's bleeding arm. I was scared that something would happen to him. But he still weakly comforted me. Don't be afraid, I'm fine. Fortunately, thanks to the timely intervention of the emergency personnel present, Lu Yenji's injuries were stabilized, and he was immediately sent to the hospital. The doctor said that luckily, there was a stack of documents in his shirt pocket that had blocked the sharpest glass shards. Otherwise, they might have severed an artery. He was unconscious due to excessive blood loss, and his colleagues came to visit him from time to time. They talked to me about funny things that happened at work. Sister-in-law, did you know that when Mr. Lu first joined the company, he didn't know much about the business? He said that his girlfriend was the most outstanding person in the world, but he only used a steamed bun and a skirt to win her over. He said he had to live up to her. He also said that his girlfriend was exceptionally intelligent and unique, and that all his achievements were thanks to her. As I listened to them chatting animatedly, my eyes couldn't help but well up with tears. Hua Yunshan wasn't dead. I didn't want him to die. I just wanted him to suffer more than death, to face legal punishment, and to be reduced from a high-ranking CEO to a despised prisoner. My sister wasn't dead. As one of Hua Yunshan's accomplices, she had suffered greatly, but she was also a member of the Hua family's conspiracy, and even one of its perpetrators. I had done both good and bad, so I was spared punishment and didn't have to go to prison. Today was the day I picked up Yenzi from the hospital. While he was changing out of his hospital gown, I helped him organize his belongings. In his shirt pocket, a stack of documents soaked in blood was tucked between several pieces of underwear. I curiously took them out and unfolded them. They were neatly printed with, "This marriage contract is hereby established to unite us in holy matrimony. We vow to stay together forever. Cherish the present and spend the rest of our lives together. We pledge to you a lifetime of health and happiness, and solemnly make this agreement." This was a marriage contract, Yenji's lifelong commitment to me. I looked up and saw Yenji walking into the ward in his suit. I called out softly, "Husband."